viewers that are following me on my channel. And thank you also for the amazing feedback that we got on our recent topics that we've done. So today I'm just gonna go in detail about the topic that I recently did, how to have a successful marriage and my top tips. So from that, I did manage to receive some feedback. And number one topic we're going to touch again is finance in a relationship or in marriage. So let's get right into our topic. Um, how to manage finance or how to manage money in your relationship or in your marriage. So thank you once again for tuning in. Thank you so much for following. So with the topic of finance, it's quite broad. We can cover a lot of topics, and from the distress that we got, a lot of people are not happy about finances in the relationship. Hence, I said we need to touch again in the topic of finance. So I'm going to do finance before marriage and finance after marriage. The reason is there are some people that are still, not married, but they are looking for lifetime relationships or marriage relationships in the near future. So it's very important that we also address for those people who want to be in a marriage relationship in the future, so that they also get some knowledge from this episode or from this message that we are giving or that we are doing today. And then also we're going to finish up with encouragement for our marriage couples. Okay, so let's start right into your finances when you are dealing in a relationship. Like most of you have known, I just recently celebrated a long time relationship or marriage anniversary with my husband. And there's a lot of things that I talked about in that video that has helped me to be where I am. And there's some things that I didn't talk about, so I'm gonna talk it in this video. So let's start with your money when you are dating or in a relationship phase. I always like to use my personal example, so I'm gonna get right into my personal example. So when I met my husband, I was a student at university, and I was just repeating my first year. I had failed my first year of med school, and I was struggling a lot financially. Money was so low in so many ways, and when I met him, immediately he did pick up that I did have financial issues. Unfortunately, I don't come from a very rich family, so it was such a struggle. During the first year, especially repeating, the subject that I had failed, and then also not having enough money for accommodation, not enough money to pay for my studies, not enough money to pay for basically, the year that I was doing. So in that year, I remember the first thing when we just started dating. I think we're in the second or third month. My husband just offered me his bank cards and gave me and said, "This is my bank cards. You are more than welcome to use my bank cards, and then just to help you financially to pay your bills and things like that." So by then, I was just his partner or girlfriend. So for me, I looked at it in a good way, that at least he's got a very good heart, he's got a giving heart, and that really, encouraged me in so many ways. But coming from a poverty background, I just reminded myself, I'm just new in this relationship. What are the chances that this person might be looking at me, that I'm taking this money and I'm using him for his money? So even though he had given me his bank cards, I never used the bank cards. I just kept the bank cards. When he came back from work, I gave him back all his cards. Let's say he'll leave me with the cards for 2 or 3 months. When he came back, I will just give back, the cards, and they had a lot of money in the cards. So he was always happy, though he wasn't so happy about the part where I didn't spend the money. But for me, I just needed to prove to him that I wasn't there in the relationship for his money. Hence, it was important for me to separate. Even though I was in a relationship, I just still felt it was my parents' responsibility to take care of me, and I wasn't going to shift that responsibility to him. Even with the little that my parents were giving me, it was just enough. I will get by. So hence, if you are in a relationship, do define what works for you in a relationship. Are you going to be accepting money from your partner, or are you not going to be accepting money from your partner? Remember, we all come from different backgrounds. What might work for me might not work for you. So you have to assess what are your goals in that relationship. What are you aiming to achieve when you decide to get that support from that man? So for me personally, I just felt it wasn't right. It wasn't the right time for me to accept the help. Hence, I declined on the help, and I just used the card, and I kept the card for him, so that when he will come back, he will still be able to find whatever lump sum money that was there that I was supposed to use. So be careful and just assess that at the beginning of your relationship, because that can make or break your relationship. The second part, I think 2 years down the line when we started dating, then my husband went into credit card debt. And for me, as a student coming from a poverty background, I didn't like that. So I took it upon myself. I destroyed those bank cards, not only destroyed them, and I encouraged him to sort the debt, because I didn't like life with credits and things like that. So we managed to cut all the cards that he was having from this specific credit accounts. So we destroyed all of them, and from him earning zero after the pay got in, he started to be able to earn a lot, to the point that he could afford his first car. He could afford to rent out a flat. So for me, that was so important, that in as much as I wasn't working, the partner that I was with, it was very important that financially they needed to be in the right space. They needed to be in the right position with their finances. I didn't want to go into marriage, having a lot of credits, having a lot of debts. So it was very important that, before we even take that step and say we're going to get married, I just needed to, see that his finances were right. And by so doing, when we destroyed the credit cards, we destroyed anything that could hold him back financially, he was able, to get enough money from the salary that he was getting being an army or military man. So that helped a lot, to the point whereby even when he went on deployment, he was able to come back from the deployment, and I still didn't get tempted and say I'm going to use that money from the deployment. I kept the cards. I just used what I was getting from my salary. By then I had started working, and then I used that to maintain myself, and then his money, I just waited until he came himself, so that he can decide what he wants to do with his money. So it's very important. I always say, you might feel that you are a woman, you don't have much of a say, but you do have a say in the relationship. As much as you have to be the one that has to help your man, so that he can prioritize and be able to see where the money can go. So you need to also decide, okay, fine, what can work for you? What is your financial goal? How do you want to help your partner, so that financially they can be in a position, or they can be where you want them to be? So please be able to be open early in the relationship, to talk about your finances, to talk about what are your financial goals, and where you want to go with your finances. So that's more from my personal experience on money in a relationship. Then the next thing is, we took the big step and we said we wanted to get married. We wanted to do a white wedding. We planned everything. Everything was like according to plan. And since my parents are from Namibia, we decided to take the wedding to Namibia. We had money, we had everything planned out. Remember, I just say my husband had gone on deployment. So part of the money also is what we used to help us, so that we can do the white wedding, plus the money that I was able to save, from when I started working as a medical doctor. So we were able to save quite enough. Then we went to Namibia to do the wedding. Unknown to us, we were being followed. They followed our car. They followed, every step that we were doing, to the point that we lost a lot of money. So we were basically, I just said maybe they were planning to kill us, but during that process of withdrawing the money and being tired and sitting down just to relax a little bit, they broke into our car and then they stole our valuables, our money, and everything, to the point whereby we didn't have money to pay for the remaining balance on the venue, the remaining balance, let's say, to buy food or to pay for catering and things like that. So at the end of the day, for me, I just personally said, you know what, I'm done with having this. I'm a doctor and I don't need help and things like that. And I'm like, at this stage where I am, the wedding just needs to happen. Whether the money is there, whether there's no money, whether my wedding is not at the standard that I initially wanted it to be. At the moment, I'm just exhausted, I'm tired, the money is not there. And we went to the point of almost begging, for our families to be able to help us, of which until today I say thank you to each and everyone who, was able to take money and give us and help us so that we can build, they can help to contribute to our marriage or our wedding day. So if it wasn't for that, it was really very bad. People ended up having to donate, or staffs give us some money. A lot of aunties also came, they helped us with the manual labor of cooking. Some also helped us with just a little bit of things that were left. So I just felt the important thing is just to get done with the day. The rest we will be able to sort once we are done. So because of the loss of the big amount of money that we lost while we're doing our white wedding, we could not go on a honeymoon, to the point whereby even after the wedding was done, we didn't have money to come back. So I encourage people now to say, you know what, there's certain things like, before you even go for that destination wedding, make sure already everything is paid up. Because the moment, people see that you are in this destination wedding, obviously they're thinking that you're coming with a lot of money. So pay your things up front before you even travel, especially if you are doing a wedding somewhere, where you it's not your hometown and you're traveling. So be able to pay almost all the important things up front before you even travel. And if you can cut costs, please do cut costs. I always say a wedding is just one day, and we spend a lot of money, to the point that you hear people are going for big loans and things like that. At the end of the day, just for one day, and that one day finishes and you are in that house and you are stuck, there's no food, there's nothing for you to eat. So it's very important that as you're starting that new relationship, financially you have to be sound. Financially you have to be in a good position. Because what is the point you have this lavish wedding, but at the end of the day you don't have much? So these are the things that I have learned, and I encourage, work on your budget. I know we want to impress people that are coming to our weddings and things like that, but at the end of the day, remember, those people are not going to bed with you. They are not going to your house with you. They are not going to help you to pay the rent. They're not going to help to pay your bond. At the end of the day, you still have to be able to pay the bond, pay the car, and pay all these other things, even after the wedding. So that's why it's very important. Save if you can, but if you can't, if you need to postpone until you are 100% sure you have enough money for that white wedding that you want to do. Otherwise, the simple one to do is just to go to court, sign your papers. It doesn't take much, and even the celebrations, are not as big as your white wedding. The people that you get to invite are not as big, and at the end of the day, you really get to save a lot. I've attended few of those, and I was really impressed at the amount of money that you get to save by just doing a court wedding, where you just go and sign and do a small celebration at the restaurant or something like that, instead of going all white and hiring a tent and getting 300 people to cater for. It's quite massive, and it's a lot of money we're talking about. So yeah, after the wedding, then okay, obviously we came back, but because we lost the money, there was no honeymoon. And then that's where I started to learn again ways that I said, yes, we need the cars, we need the what, but at the end of the day, because of my history also of growing up without having like a family house, for me it was very important that our children, they grow up in our own house. So as much as we were being offered free or minimum payments on what is this one, accommodation we were getting by by the work that we were doing, we still felt like it's very important that we get our own. And then we managed to get the house bond. So once we got the house bond, we decided to pay it off faster. So instead of, let's say, your bond has been approved, you pay 3,000. We double that amount. Instead of paying 3, you pay 6,000. Before you know it, you are able to finish paying off that house, let's say, in a period of 6 or 7 years. So that's just my advice to you, that whatever bond that you get, please, instead of paying the minimum, double up that amount so that you will be able to pay off that balance as soon as possible. Once you've paid off that house, remember, it's yours, it's your children's inheritance. So I said we need to do this before we even get old. It's not good to wait until you retire, then use that money in order to buy that house or things like that. It's not good. So, and it's not fair for our children. So work on buying a house. If you can't buy a house, I always say, there's plots that they are selling, they are cheaper. Work with your partner, buy a plot, build small, you can build your house until, you are able to reach, the level of house that you want to build. And in that way, you also avoid the bank charges, you avoid, having to pay for 20 years of your life. So if you can, be able, to cut out all budgets, all other unnecessary things, so that you start with building a home for your children, building a home for your wife, for your family, so that in the long term, your family, no matter what will happen to you as a father, as a mother, your children, they do have an inheritance that they can go with, or that will be theirs, and the bank doesn't need to come and repossess that house or take that house because you were not compliant with the payment. So please, as much as we need the cars, please work on getting a house for yourself and pay it off as soon as possible. That's what I'm also doing in my personal life, whereby, I said the car always loses value, but your house never loses value. So if you invest in a house, you are just investing in the future of your family, you are investing in the future of your children. And in the long term, whether you are there, you are not there, you have built something that nobody can touch, because you've paid it off, and you've protected the future of your children, and your children don't have to be homeless if anything should happen to you. The next thing is just to decide also, as much as I'm talking about the cars and the house, decide which accounts are you going to go on and say, let's say you do them or separately, and which accounts are you going to use as a joint account. So like your house, your cars, you can decide, okay, we'll use your account to pay for this account. No, this account will use it to pay for this account. And then let's say for the house, we'll put it on a joint account. And then on that joint account, you can decide, okay, fine, we're going with this certain bank, And from our separate salaries, we, at the end of every month, we transfer this amount to go into this account so that it can sort the house, it can sort the cars. So those are the shared responsibilities that the two of you have in a marriage, and you are using a shared account where you are able to pay the two of you. Then the other small things like your insurances and your life covers, you can have it on your personal accounts. So basically, that's about it on your finances. And also, sorry, not to forget your budget. Budget is very important. I do my budget on a daily basis. I work on my budget. I look into things where I can cut on. Is it on the business? Is it in my personal? And not only that, also extend it to your partner. Be able also to check in the budget of your partner, to check in with their finances and see where they are doing. See how you can help them so that they can also continue to stay afloat. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. Remember, I don't work for any bank. I'm just giving you advice from my personal knowledge, my personal experiences. For more information, your insurances, your policies, your life cover, please do contact your financial bankers, and they will be able to give you guidance as to what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And then the other thing I always talk about, this is also what we do personally. I always say no matter what, no matter how much you earn, be able to still pay yourself a salary, pay yourself something. Yes, you might be saying you're owning a business, you're working, let's say, for a government job or something like that. But even from that government job, let's say if your salary is 300, take 300. On that 300, automate it and put it, let's say, in an investment. We do have lots of investments that are there. We do have your tax-free investment. Please do investigate on that one. And they allow per year you can put up to 33,000 into that tax-free account. So be able to do investments so that, like I keep on saying, COVID has taught us a lot of things. You think that, no emergencies will come, but COVID just showed us that, in just 3 to 6 months, our financial and our finances were affected severely, so that's why it's still very important. You automate and you put money aside as a family and individually. We do it with my husband, whereby he's got also his personal investments that we do. And then also, I also have my personal investments, from tax-free investments to non-tax-free investments. Look onto that. Look, even if it's just 100 Rand per month, just put something aside. And then for some, there's also the stock files that are happening. Be able also to assess your financial situation. And do also speak to your partner and see what works for your finances, because if it doesn't work for you as a couple, rather not do it. But if it works for you as a couple, then even if it's just 1,000, do that 1,000 and put it in a stock file. You might be surprised how much that stock file can help you, and then it will be able to give you money back on a long term. When you get that money, reinvest it. Use that money to pay your school fees. Use that money to pay off, the debts that you are owing, and pay them off as early as possible, so that money, instead of you working for your money, money starts to work for you, and money will start to grow, and you will become, financially independent. And this is what I'm saying, we need to do early. It's something that I learned, and I say, when I started working, I was just preoccupied about looking good on the outside to people, whereby I just wanted to do, to buy cars and be seen that I've made it. But at the end of the day, I've learned a car loses its value. So I'm now into, assets. I'm now into businesses. I'm now into, I wear simple. I put on simple styles, simple dresses, because I'm like, it doesn't help me put on a Gucci or all these expensive things, wear expensive clothes, drive expensive cars. At the end of the day, when I'm gone, I don't have anything on my name. I don't want that. So as much as I know some people might not agree with that, it's okay. It's what works for you. For me, I don't believe in just putting all this luxury clothing and things like that. And for those who know me, I even shop at China Mall, just to cut down on my costs. Yes, I'm not saying I don't go to branded shops and things like that, but I don't do it on a regular basis because I have financial goals for myself. I have financial goals for our family. I have financial goals for our marriage. I have financial goals for our children, and also I am into building a legacy. I'm into building, an empire. So if I need to look poor so that I can build that empire, it's okay. At the end of the day, I don't want to look rich, but I don't have the money. So even if I look poor, I know I've started my investments. I've started, my businesses. I've started building my empire. I've started doing things that will create a legacy for, my children, my children's children. And that is, in the overall, that's what I can just advise you. On your finances, be free with your husband. Talk about everything. It might look silly, it might sound silly, but talk about it. Talk about it, be transparent enough so that you are able to reach your financial goals together, and you are able to be debt free together as soon as possible. If there's anything that is worrying you, if there's anything that financially you feel maybe your partner is overspending, I used to have that problem. I used to love just shopping too much, and my husband had to reach a stage and he talked me down and says, no, this is not okay. This is not right. You shopping every day for clothes. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, you have the whole the closet is full of clothes. What more do you want? And I had to it was tough for me. It was hard for me. But at the long term, I was like, he's right. I need to make those changes because really, I see that money is actually being wasted on buying clothes. I will decide, let's say, once in every 3 months, we all go together as a family and then we do our shopping. That way, it's not only me, the wife, who's benefiting, it's not only the husband who's benefiting, it's all of us who are benefiting. And then the same also with your groceries, the things for the house. Do talk about it. How often must you buy groceries for the house? For us, usually, yes, we do buy bread on a day-to-day or every second day, but the groceries, we make it at least once a week. We go and do the grocery and the toiletries and the shopping for the house. But for the clothes, we've made it a point whereby we take long. Even the children, we've educated them to the point whereby we always say we wait for the birthday. When it's their birthday, we buy them as many clothes as possible so that those clothes can last for that whole year. And then in between, we just patch up. If the shoe is torn, okay, yes, you can go and buy one pair. You don't have to buy 3 or 4 anymore. But we make sure that when it's their birthday, we buy them as many clothes as possible so that we know we are done for that year. And even with your school fees, we don't wait for the peak hour when everyone is buying in January, when the schools are reopening. We buy when everything is going on sale. The same with your summer clothes, your winter clothes. When it's winter, we already start buying summer clothes because we know these are the clothes that are going to go higher when it's summer. So we buy on the season that what is this one? Let's say it's winter. We buy already sorry, for summer. Let's say it's summer, we already start buying to prepare for winter, so that by the time winter comes, we are already prepared and you've already done all your shopping. So basically, those are the things. So look in the finances, look into things in the house, look where you can cut, money, and where you cut that money. Try to make it that you can also use that money to invest, use that money, to grow, use that money so that it can multiply, so that as a family you grow, financially. And then don't forget also your children. We've bought our kids. I just forgot to bring it. We have this piggy, banks that we've bought for them, so that we can start to teach them about money. So already, when they, let's say they do something and we are happy with their marks at school, we give them a reward financially. We give them something like, for doing so good, this is a 10 rand for you, but don't use it, go put it in your piggy bank. And then to our surprise, our kids, at the end of the year, when we open those piggy banks, we are able to see that they are able to make up to 1,000 rand. And then we say, okay, take that money, and then let's go now. At the end of the year, you decide what do you want to do with the money. So if they want to go buy, your ice cream, they want to buy clothes, it's up to them. They want to buy toys, it's up to them. We just use money that they've collected throughout the year. Or if there's anything else that they want to do, they want to go out and have some fun, we say use that money, then you can have the fun that you want to have. So it's very important that the children are learning. They are basically learning from us. So it's very important that whatever we do financially, we need to set an example so that our children can grow up also to be financially independent. Our children can grow up knowing that whatever our parents have worked hard for, we don't just come and misuse. Because you've seen people that were once well off, were once rich, they made a lot of money, but because the children didn't involve the children, the children never understood what they are doing and how business works. The moment the parents die, the children just take that money and they throw it off and they squander the money, and before long you just see that the whole family goes down financially, because we as parents didn't take the time to teach our children about finances, to teach our children about the business, to teach our children about the money. Because if you don't teach them, how do you expect them to learn? How do you expect them to be financially sound? Because they copy what you do. So let's start early also to involve our children, so that the children also will help us. When they see mommy's going out of line, they'll be like, but mommy, didn't you say that we're not gonna buy any more clothes? Why did you go shopping again? And then it will keep you in line, because it's a check, and you'll be like, oh yes, I forgot. From now on, I'm not going to do it anymore. And they are able to hold you accountable. So basically, that's my advice on how to manage finance in a marriage. And this is what me and my husband have personally done, and we still continue to do. For those who know us, when you come to our family, when you come in our house, we always like to talk about money. We are not people who want to show off that we have. We are people who are so reserved, because we just feel, whatever we have, it's a gift from God, and we are going to use it to empower not only our family, not only our community, not only our children, but it's a gift that God has given us, so that it's not only for us, but it's for the rest of the world also to benefit from. So I hope you have been encouraged. I hope you have been motivated. I hope today you get into that book and start looking on the budget, start looking where you can, cut money, start looking into the credits that you need to sort out early, start destroying those credits, and, start to live a life where you are financially, financially you have that freedom, financially you are well off, and you start to build a legacy for your family. Thank you so much. Remember to subscribe on my YouTube channel, like, comment, and please share my video to people that you know might need this information. And thank you so much for all the feedback. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen to what I'm advising you. From my family to your family, have a blessed day. Thank you so much, Dr. Nambi. Goodbye. Have a good week.